Yokai Watch is a series I love and so do other people. Sadly, over years, the series has declined with a few reboots, a lack of games, and a new type of reboot game coming out with Ghostcraft. And today I wanted to make a Iceberg video and talking about Yokai Watch. The Iceberg was made by yours truly. I think I'm using that term right. Before the video starts, just a few things. Firstly, if you're not, please like and subscribe the video. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's free. It helps me out. I'm trying to reach 100 before the year ends. Second, if you're already a Yokai Watch fan and you already know basic stuff about the series and you want to know more juicy stuff, I advise you to skip to layer 3 where we talk about more obscure stuff in the franchise. Also, one more thing, this is my first Iceberg video and I am trying to do as much research as I can, but I am considering splitting it into 2 parts. So if this video does good enough and you guys want to see more, please let me know in the comments. And if you notice something odd about the information and it's not completely accurate, please let me know in the comments so I can call myself out. Alright, bye, have a good watch. What is a yokai? A yokai is a spirit that comes to the human world and spirits people or just messes around causing trouble. A lot of them are based off actual Japanese folklore, like Jibanyan, who is based off the Nekomata. Every yokai is put into a unique tribe to help tell what type of spirit they are. There's brave, tough, mysterious, charming, heartful, shady, eerie, slippery, and then there's 3 extra tribes with Wicked, Emma, and the Wandroid tribe. And additionally, by summoning the yokai, you can get a summoning song based off the tribe they have. In addition, by having yokai that's part of the same tribe next to each other, it will give them a boost depending on the tribe. For example, if it's brave, they get a strength boost. If it's charming, they get a speed boost. Sadly, these tribes will kind of be abandoned in Yokai Watch 4 in favor of new tribes, but we'll get to those later. When it comes to mascot yokai, the 2 that instantly come in mind are Jibanyan and Komasan. These 2 are basically the face of the franchise. When Yokai Watch did 2 versions of their games, Jibanyan will get one form and Komasan will get the other. And in addition, there's also Whisper and Komajiro and Eusapion. Back in the Yokai Watch 3 era, back in 2016, Eusapion used to appear alongside Komasan and Jibanyan. But sadly, over the years, Eusapion will kind of stop being used. Like, even in the most recent anime, Eusapion doesn't really show up. And there is kind of a reason to that. We'll get to that later. Yokai Watch had a few different animes and a bunch of different movies. I'm not going to go over all of them because I only seen a few. But just know that the anime, it just has Nate, Whisper, and Jibanyan going on adventures, encountering a few different yokai. And Nate will have to summon a different yokai to deal with the other yokai. So it's kind of like a problem solver thing. I thought it was a fun anime. A lot of the episodes are kind of a bit cheesy at times. And the movies, the first Yokai Watch movie is basically half of the plot of the second game, where Nate, Whisper, and Jibanyan go back in time to meet Nate's grandpa, Nathaniel, and team up with Nathaniel and Hoverion to stop the wicked yokai from taking over the world, or something like that. The second Yokai Watch movie, I forgot what it's called, but it has, I forgot what you call these movies, but it's basically a bunch of different stories connected with each other to end in a final plot. And the only one I remember is the final plot involving Lord Emma being trapped, so he summons the 2 Yokai Watchers, Nate and Haley-Ann. And there is a plot going on about humans and yokai disconnecting because there's a ban and Lord Emma needs their help. And then there's the third Yokai Watch movie where it takes place between live action and the animated world, and when the yokai are in the live action world, their powers are weak. That's all I got from that movie. There's also the Shadow Side movie, the Forever Friends movie, the Y Academy movie, and I think there was like another movie after that, but I kind of didn't care to research it. After the Yokai Watch Shadow Side movie, a new anime dropped after the original anime ended, and then after that series, a new Yokai Watch series came back, which goes back to the past of the original characters. I'm skipping over Shadow Side because we'll get to that later. But after the 2019 series, then we got the Y Academy series, and then after that, we go back to the Yokai Watch we all grew up with, I guess. The series is all over the place. As a franchise, Yokai Watch is very marketable, and because of that, they were able to sell tons of toys. And the main thing everyone wanted was the Yokai Watch and the Yokai Watch medals. And every time a new Yokai Watch was released, there were new medals to come out. And eventually it got to a point where the main company behind it, Hasbro, wait, not Hasbro, Hasbro did the American watches and medals, but Bandai Namco had to include a feature to upgrade the Yokai Watch because they kept making medals and different types of medals. And I mentioned this earlier, but Hasbro, they did do the American Yokai Watch and the medals. And due to what I probably want to assume is people not trying to get rare medals easily, what Hasbro did is they modified their version of the Yokai Watch to make the American medals exclusive to America, and I don't know where else the Hasbro watch released, but it was a unique way done, and I kind of don't like it because now they are not making medals or watches, so it's not like I can buy medals outside of America. But hey, that's just a me problem. Yokai Watch has tons of songs associated to its brand, and I'm not just talking about the summoning songs, I'm talking about songs that are used to help promote the franchise. A good popular one being Gara Gara Po by King Cream Soda. Can't believe I'm saying that. There's also other songs like the Yokai Watch intro that a lot of people don't like for some reason. I kind of like it. There's also the Blasters intro, which got localized back in 2018. And then there's Space Dance. Japan has a lot of them. A lot of people passed off Yokai Watch for being a Pokemon ripoff, which is kind of unfair. And as someone who played all 4 main games, I can say Yokai Watch is way different from Pokemon. There is a lot to the series that Pokemon probably wouldn't even try to do. A lot of people that actually played the games, even if they didn't like it, they'll probably say it's different than Pokemon. Before Jibanyan became a yokai, he used to be a pet cat named Rudy, and his owner was named Amy. And one day a fast truck was coming by, Amy was about to get hit, then Rudy went like, yeah, no, that's not gonna happen, and took the hit for Amy. Hi, this is Edit Ninja right here. I forgot all about Whisper, so let me fix this real quick. So, from what I can understand, because I never cared about Whisper's origins, Whisper was like hanging out with this Shogun dude because there was like a fight going on, and he's actually called Private Whispocrates, but I'm just gonna call him Private Whisper or just Whisper. But the problem is when Whisper inspirits someone, because he like spits green spew stuff everywhere, he makes them lie or like tell claims that aren't true, and this will lead to him being a liar, often leaving people despondent. I'm reading the wiki right now because it's late and I'm trying to fix this, and he couldn't really control his powers. Whisper spent all his time with his Shogun buddy because he knew eventually his Shogun friend was going to be ripped in the battle. The Yokai Watch Masters refers to the humans that have Yokai Watches so they can interact with the yokai. And honestly, there was a lot more than I thought. So I'm not going to cover every one of them, more specifically the characters from the Y School Hero series. We're mainly talking about the characters from Yokai Watch and Yokai Watch Shadow Side. Of course, for the first characters, there's Nate and Katie. They're the playable characters you can play as in the first 2 Yokai Watch games. Just your simple average boy and average girl protagonist. Then there's Haley Ann, who was playable in the 3rd Yokai Watch game, who had her own storyline with Eusapion. And sadly, even though she does appear in Yokai Watch 4, you couldn't play as her because she, quote unquote, lost her Yokai Watch. Yeah. But in actuality, there is a reason to this. Haley Ann was not really a fan favorite character from the info I could gather. And it is a shame because Haley Ann is, in my opinion, a far more interesting character from someone like Katie. Like, I get that Haley Ann could be annoying, but she still has a lot more going on than Katie, and that's why I always preferred Yokai Watch 3 with how they handled the boy character and female character. But hey, this ain't really... This is the iceberg. I gotta get back on topic. And there's also the creator of the Yokai Watch, Nathaniel, or Kenny. Nathaniel being Nate's grandpa and Kenny being Katie's grandpa. Yeah. So yeah, Nathaniel, most people know him because canonically, Nathaniel is the one that created the Yokai Watch. Like, if you consider Yokai Watch 4's plot, like, that seems to be the way Level 5 wants to take it. So Kenny, he's kind of forgotten at this point. And there are some more Yokai Watch masters. Shadowside introduced us to Summer, Cole, and Bruno. And I think... Oh, wait, how could I forget? There's also Jack and Alistar. And I mentioned this earlier, but there is also the characters in Yokai Watch Jam. Because of how that series works and the humans can turn into yokai, there are a lot of characters that can technically use the Yokai Watch or YSP Watch. I'm not going to go over that, but I will try to have some characters on screen. In addition to a yokai's tribe, there are also categories that some yokai have. There are classic yokai, American yokai, legendary yokai, American legends, treasure legendaries, the mystery legends. Wait, aren't those the same? I can't remember. And then there are the diva yokai. Yokai YouTubers refers to the fact that in Yokai Watch gained the popularity, there were YouTubers to help with that series getting popular, and some of them even based their channels around Yokai Watch. I don't remember all of them, but some of the ones I grew up watching were John Awesome. He was definitely my favorite. His Yokai Watch 2 series, I still go back and watch that to that day. There was also Abdallah, 101 Leafy, and I think Springdale Data Science or Robert Watch. He was the guy that played Yokai Watch Wibble Wobble and Puni Puni. In order to promote Yokai Watch in the States, Nintendo made a commercial of Reggie dancing like an idiot and this one dude eating a bunch of donuts because they got inspired by yokai. It's stupid but funny. And recently, with the new Ghostcraft trailer, Level 5 got into some controversy. We're not talking about the AI, we're talking about the fact that they brought back the Apple Pen guy for this one promotional bit with the fusion gimmick. And why are people getting mad about memes? It's not that deep, it's just a meme, bro. There's also this one funny meme where Whisper wants to remind someone of their traumatic past. Now that we understand his tragic past, let's go remind him of it. Yokos are very rare when it comes to Yokai Watch. That's because of the Japanese spirit they're based off of, which brings luck and fortune. And Panda Noko and Star Noko are very similar when it comes to luck. You can only get them buy Street Pass and Wayful Manor in Yokai Watch 1 and 2 and 3. That's how you get Pananoko. And for Star Anoko, it's very similar, but you have to go to the Wayful Manor in BBQ. Yokai Watch has tons of difficult bosses which you can take on after completing the main story mode. In Yokai Watch 1, 2, and 3, you can often come across secret bosses that are often new yokai that you can fight, or just reskins of previous bosses you can fight, but there are true final bosses that you can take on after beating the main game. In Yokai Watch 1, it's Wobble Walk, who you can actually befriend in Yokai Watch 2 and onwards. In Yokai Watch 2, it's Cat's Cradle that you can take on in Divine Paradise. In Yokai Watch Blasters, it's Shogun King if you have the Moon Rabbit Crew update. In Yokai Watch 3, the secret boss is the Zen Lightener, who is probably considered to be the hardest boss in the franchise. Personally, I still think Cat's Cradle is the hardest. Yokai Watch has a manga and apparently a comic. I'm now just figuring this out right now. I never read any of them, and I'm pretty sure the comic and manga did discontinue, but there are rumors of the manga coming back. And apparently the manga has been one of the sources people are using to get the localized names of Yokai Watch 4 characters like Nichi, whose localized name turns out to be Sly. And apparently IDW was the ones that did the Yokai Watch comic. Again, I have never read any of these and I don't know much about these. Just looking at the images and sources I have, they seem to be legit and not fan-made. So take it as you will. Yokai Watch had tons of mobile games, and while we'll talk about some of these later, the two games I want to talk about specifically are Yokai Watch Wibble Wobble and Yokai Watch Puni Puni, and these games are similar. The only difference is Wibble Wobble was the American counterpart and in Europe, and Puni Puni was the version everyone else got, and these versions are similar but different. Wibble Wobble sadly discontinued back in, I want to say 2018 or 2017, but Puni Puni is still getting updates to this day. Expensive games refers to the fact that when some of these Yokai Watch games were being produced, there were not enough copies made, and because of that, their value went up, and they go up for like $300 online, which is a shame because no one's going to be able to experience these games and they're really good. Well, it's a good thing you can still buy them online. Yokai Watch Sengoshi, Yokai Watch Busters 2, both versions of the game are still games that have not gained any localization and we'll probably never see them. Oh, and there's the most infamous one, Yokai Watch 4. And it is sad that we're never gonna get these games. There is still hope that Level 5 will localize Yokai Watch 4, but I feel like there's a lot of things they will have to localize about that game, including the cameo references that not a lot of people in the States will know, some of the story elements which came from certain movies and the anime. There's just a lot they'll have to translate. However, there are fans of Yokai Watch that have localized some of the games we never got over here in the States. So if you like Yokai Watch, I advise you to check out these projects and support them. If there's one criticism a lot of Yokai Watch fans has, it's about the reskins and the overflow of cat yokai. In Yokai Watch 1, half the roster was just reskins, and it did get better in future games. They toned down the amount of reskins, but as the games went on, there were more cat yokai, or in other words, variations of Jibanyan. And if it wasn't variations of Jibanyan, it was variations of Komasan. Jibanyan probably has, not probably, he most likely has the most variations in Yokai Watch. As for why they do the reskins, it's most likely just so they can save time, money, or just be lazy. I don't know. I wasn't part of the team. Akihiro Hino is the CEO of Level 5, and in Yokai Watch 2, there was a hard boss fight in the Blasters game mode, which basically is Mr. Hino, and he is called He Knows All, which is a pun of he is the creator, he knows all. I actually like that pun. That's one of my favorite names in Yokai Watch. And he will appear as another boss fight in Yokai Watch Blasters, the actual game. And he had a harder form called He Knows All Awoken, which is one of the toughest boss fights in the game. And in Yokai Watch 3, you can actually befriend He Knows All Awoken, and the Phoenix. And in Yokai Watch 4, we got a new variation of He Knows All called He Knows All Shadow Side. Yokai Watch is Dead refers to the fact that the series is kinda, well, I don't want to say dead, but it's just not as popular as it used to be. And in a way, it is kind of dead, but we do know there is a fan base demanding the series to come back in the West and in the East. Yokai Watch 4 was the last mainline Yokai Watch game to come out all the way back in 2019, and I don't think Level 5 wants the series to die, but they are focused on other projects, which is Fantasy Life, which is the current game they're working on, and there was also their Ghostcraft project, which is the next concept, the Yokai Watch. So I don't think they want the series to die. Instead, they just need to figure out what they want to do with the series. These next three topics are going to be referring to what I like to call the experimental era of Yokai Watch, where Level 5 was trying to experiment with the Yokai Watch series and seeing what they can do, hyping up to the release of Yokai Watch 4 and Yokai Watch Y Academy. Yokai Watch Shadow Side takes place 30 years after the original series. The main character is Summer, who is the daughter of Nate and Katie. There's also her two friends, Cole and Bruno. There was actually a movie that came out before the anime called Return of the Oni King, and the anime had 49 episodes between 2018 and 2019. The anime was about Cole, Bruno, and Summer going on investigations about the yokai causing trouble around town. And the thing about the yokai is not only are the original tribes gone and replaced with new ones, which we'll talk about later, yokai actually have a light side and a shadow side. Yokai Watch Shadow Side is actually a lot darker than the original series, with the storylines and even some of the designs with the yokai. Yokai Watch Forever Friends is the 5th Yokai Watch movie. Well, in that case, shouldn't it be called Yokai Watch 5 Ever Friends?
Boo! You stink!
Yokai Watch Forever Friends has the main character Jack, Alistar, and Tay, who are on a mission to save human souls from a yokai. They also team up with a few new faces, Gutso or Nekomata, this yokai who I cannot pronounce his name to save my life, and there's also Kappa, and there's Jack's guardian spirit, Susan. Unlike Shadow Side, Forever Friends never got anime after the movie, but its plotline did become part of Yokai Watch 4's plot. Y School Heroes is probably the most what the hell thing on this list. So from what I can understand, it takes place in an alternate universe where the yokai are now humans. Well, at least some of the yokai. Some yokai are still yokai, but they look different. Like, Koma-san is now a human boy, and Komajiro is now a Komadillo. Okay, that's actually kind of neat. That's not even all, because there's like a YSP watch, which allows the humans to transform into Y heroes using like the power of yokai. I try to do some research on this, but there is honestly a lot, and it doesn't help how not much of this series has been localized other than like a few names. So maybe one day I can make an actual video talking about Y School Heroes, but as for now, that's like all the stuff you need to know. There's also a movie called Y School Heroes Movie, and I can't really find out what the plot is because I'm actually looking on the Wikipedia. Okay, so technically there is one more game to talk about with the experimental era of Yokai Watch. However, this seems to be the next concept of Yokai Watch according to level 5. It's called Ghostcraft, or the actual title being. So from what I can gather, if the young hero who lives in a mansion atop the apartment building owned by his grandma finds a camera in a locked room, encounters a ghost, and gets caught up in all kinds of turmoil. That young boy being Ten Lordland. Sorry, I'm reading the page of Holy Horror Mansion. So from what I can gather, it's like a monster collection, but you actually get to use ghosts to craft the monsters with items. And you can also do some other things with the ghosts, like fuse certain items to create a new monster, or you can use a ghost to create a dungeon of some sorts. This game, even though there's only one trailer out, there is some controversy, like two controversies that I can gather. For starters, a lot of Yokai Watch fans are upset this isn't a traditional Yokai Watch game. And there's also the accusation of level 5 using AI. I'm not gonna show the AI because there's already videos calling level 5 out for that. Back when Yokai Watch Busters was the recent game, in around 2015, the Yokai Watch song medals were releasing. And what these basically were is, unlike a usual summoning song, it was a yokai singing a song, or it was a group of yokai singing. There was a few catchy ones, like the one with Lord Emma and the Onis. There was Eusapion and Jibanyan singing a summer song, but probably the most bizarre one of them all is a duet between Jibanyan and Ronald McDonald. So speaking of Ronald McDonald, let's talk about the many crossovers and collabs Yokai Watch has had. I couldn't give you a specific number of how many crossovers there have been, because there's so many, and to this day we're still getting collabs thanks to their mobile games. I just mentioned McDonald's, but there's not just the Yokai Watch song medal, there's also a bunch of Happy Meal toys featuring Yokai Watch characters. In 2016, there was a crossover between Yokai Watch and Just Dance, which featured exclusive Yokai Watch songs, and a lot of them never left Japan or came over to the West. So I thought that was interesting. But this is the only Yokai Watch game that appeared on the Wii U, so that's an interesting fact. There was also a crossover between Hello Kitty, Puyo Puyo, the drum dude from that one rhythm game also appeared as an actual befriendable yokai, so that was cool. But probably the one series Yokai Watch has the most collabs with is Final Fantasy. In Yokai Watch 3, you can befriend a Chocobo Nyan and a Muglin Nyan. In Yokai Watch Puni Puni, you can actually befriend Final Fantasy characters. And I never played Final Fantasy, but apparently Yokai Watch actually had a collab with their games as well, where you can actually get certain yokai in the game. So I never played the games, but I kind of want to now after learning this. Okay, so we're going to be talking about the many Yokai Watch mobile games that appeared on mobile devices. Some of them you can't really play anymore because life just sucks like that. We already talked about Wibwob and Puni Puni, so let's make this quick. Yokai Watch 1 appeared on smartphone devices, so that's cool. Yokai Watch World is basically Pokemon Go, but with yokai. There's Yokai Watch Land, which is a crappy minigame type game, and I'm pretty sure you can actually use this app to scan in your Yokai Watch medal, so that's cool. Yokai Watch Danan is a block removal game. Yokai Watch Kintaro Wars is a RPG which involves you collecting yokai with these Sengoshi type of outfits trying to claim territories. Yokai Watch Garapo Rhythm is actually a rhythm RPG, so interesting. Yokai Watch Metal Wars is more of an in-depth game. The thing is, I never got a chance to play this one, so I can't really explain how everything works. However, There is a YouTuber out there that talks about these mobile games, Lonely Fubuki. So if you want to understand what these games are, I advise you checking out this video. I'll leave in the description. Okay, so this one's a bit of a lore heavy, so let's cut to the chase. Lord Emma, Alistar, and Lucas are similar in ways. For Lord Emma and Alistar, they are the same person. In the Yokai Watch Forever Friends part, I mentioned how Alistar was one of the main characters trying to save the human souls. However, during that process, he does kind of rip. But he does come back as the new Lord Emma, my bad. Lucas is a bit different, however. He's not Lord Emma, but he is connected to Lord Emma. It turns out Lucas does have connections to the Emma tribe, more specifically the ancient Emma, who is the father of Lord Emma, I'm pretty sure. Or ancient Emma was Lucas' father, my bad. Hello, this is the halfway point of the iceberg. How's it going? Are you enjoying yourself? Am I putting you to sleep? Regardless, I hope you enjoyed the video. This is just a reminder, we are halfway through the iceberg, and as we go down the iceberg, the more obscure and kind of disturbing the facts get. Not really disturbing, just obscure. In Yokai Watch, if you try to change the time on your console, you actually get punished for that. Let me explain. Yokai Watch uses a real-life clock system for mainly its crank-a-kai, which often gives you a limited amount of cranks per day. However, if you do try to cheese this by changing the clock, the game will notice it and actually punish you. Not only would it disable your crank-a-kai for the day, but it will actually force you to either fight Snartle or Gargoyles. This isn't always the case. I have heard that sometimes it won't let you fight the two yokai, but I do know it will cancel your crank-a-kai. Yokai Watch actually has its own trading card game, and I couldn't tell you much about these because I never played this trading card game as a kid. But what I do know is there are two types of cards. There's the yokai card, and then there's the action cards. And then you can also use the yokai medals to help you out in the game. I'm not sure how that will really work, but there are unique type of yokai medals that has the yokai playing with the cards, so that's neat. Going back to the Yokai Watch medals real quick, a lot of people like collecting them. However, not every yokai got their own medal, so leave it to the fans to make their own custom-made medals. And sometimes they're not even making medals for the yokai, sometimes they're making it for specific characters that they like. Or, I didn't even know you can do this, some people are actually going out their way to modify the medal as a whole to make the watch play a certain song. So I find that interesting, and I recommend checking out Frost Shogunyan because he does show off custom made medals. So if you like stuff like that, I recommend checking that out. The Yokai Watch Elda, also localized as the Yokai Watch Arcane, was introduced in Yokai Watch Shadowside and Yokai Watch 4. The functions allow the user to summon the yokai with the Yokai Watch Arcs or Yokai Watch Keystones. And not only can you summon a yokai, you can also transform a yokai into a Shadowside form. There are a few different variations of this watch. There's the Yokai Watch Elda Zero, the Yokai Watch Elda God Side, which allows you to turn yokai into their God Side forms, and there's the version K used by Nate in the 2019 anime, which allows him to turn yokai into their one chance forms. And for a brief recap, Shadowside yokai are more twisted, powerful versions of yokai. The God Side yokai are just yokai but gods. And the one chance yokai is something will happen, like a miracle to help out the situation. When the Yokai Watch Elda was introduced, they ditched the old tribes in favor of new tribes. Instead of being based off the yokai's personality, it's now based off what type of spirit they are. For example, there's the Onin tribe, which is based off a yokai with a grudge. There's the Gariki tribe, which is a yokai that's basically all about battling. There's the Omari tribe, which is a yokai that basically is a guardian spirit. There's the Mononoke tribe, which is an animal yokai. There is the Tuski Kumono. I'm sorry, I cannot pronounce that word, but just know it comes down to a yokai based off an object. There's the Owanasora tribe, which is a absent-minded yokai. There's the Mikado tribe, which is basically the new Emma tribe, so I don't know why they changed the name. There's the Izana tribe, which has one yokai. Yeah, the only yokai that's in that tribe is Lord Anata. There's the Wicked tribe, which is the only returning tribe. There's the Shinma tribe, which is basically a tribe for one yokai who is... I kind of don't want to spoil it because he's the final boss of Yokai Watch 4. There's the Mikakunin tribe, which is just a tribe with an alien. And there is one last tribe, which is going to be our next category. The Oni tribe actually has the most lore out of all the other tribes in Yokai Watch 4. Before the Emma tribe rolled over, there was the Oni tribe, and once the Yokai Overseer showed up, the tribe almost went extinct. So not counting the Lord Anata tribe, this tribe has probably the least amount of yokai in the tribe. If you want a better understanding of these new tribes, I recommend watching the video by Lonely Fubuki, who does a better job explaining the new tribes. Plush videos are nothing new to the internet. In fact, I can make a whole iceberg talking about them. But we're not here to talk about plush videos, we're here talking about Yokai Watch plush videos. I couldn't find much when it came to Yokai Watch plush videos, but there is one YouTuber who does, or he used to make them, Mario Muffet. Mario Muffet Adventures, my bad. There's actually quite a lot of Yokai Watch videos that the channel has, so if you like watching plush videos and you like Yokai Watch, I recommend watching this stuff. Sadly, Mario Muffet Adventures no longer uploads Yokai Watch videos. In fact, they last uploaded 2 years ago, so bye. Similar to plush videos, there's not much for me to work with when it comes to Minecraft, but I do have a bit more. For starters, we have Minecraft Yokai Watch roleplay by Pixel Dip. It's about what you could expect from a Yokai Watch Minecraft roleplay. If you like watching Minecraft RPs, I guess I recommend watching this. But in addition, there is a Yokai Watch Minecraft mod in the works. Yokai Craft adds a ton of yokai into Minecraft, so I don't really play Minecraft on PC, so I can't really download mods, but I guess I do recommend checking this out if you're curious. It looks fun, and I wish I have a chance to try it out. Also, I forgot to mention, the mod is being done by Mavoob, if that's how you say it. Sorry if I got it wrong. They seem to be the ones responsible for the Yokai Watch Minecraft mod, so if you want to see more of their stuff, I recommend checking out their channel. When Yokai Watch Busters came over to the States, it was quickly changed to Yokai Watch Blasters, named off of the game mode from Yokai Watch 2. In addition, Usapion B, Komasan B, and Jibanyan B were also changed to look less Ghostbuster theme, and Wisp Mellow Man was also changed to look less Ghostbuster theme. And it's pretty obvious Level 5 did this to avoid any troubles with Warner Bros., who I believe is the company behind Ghostbusters. I don't know, I never watched that movie. I should, because I heard good things about it. Did you know there was technically a fourth version of Yokai Watch Busters called Iron Oni Force? Yeah, I was considering just cutting this from the tier list because I can't really find much information about the Yokai Watch arcade games. Like, I know they exist, but not only can I not find much videos on it, but I can't even find any decent information about the games and how they work. Like, I know there's like a arcade rhythm game. There's this one weird slots game, and there's Iron Oni Force, which seems to be based off Yokai Watch Busters. And from what I can get, you have a Busters license. It had connectivity with Moon Rabbit Crew, and there was even cards you can use. If anyone knows any information about this game, please let me know. So, in case I do a sequel, I do want to talk about these games. Okay, this one's a bit of a joke category, but I'll get to it quick. A lot of people want Jibanyan for Smash Bros, and that might not never happen, but that's okay because there are awesome fans out there that will theorize what happens if Jibanyan does get in Smash. So go out and check out those projects. I accidentally called this category the Yokai Watch 4 rebrand when in actuality that should say Yokai Watch cut content. Cause the game does have a few cut content with this shopkeeper yokai, this weird dragon yokai, this weird yokai with a mask, and this creepy, disturbing girl yokai with two faces. And McCracken's final form was originally supposed to appear in the game. Interesting, these cut yokai do have art for their Yokai Watch keystones. And in additionally, the Yokai Watch 4 does have an old logo for the game, and Slimamander was originally supposed to appear in Nate's world, and you would have fought him a bit early. But this was changed. And the reason for that is I do kind of have a theory of that the game was kind of rebranded in a way to be more suitable for a younger audience because the game is a bit darker for the average Yokai Watch game. The Kuroi Yokai Watch is a Yokai Watch from another world where it's much creepy and more based off Japanese mythology, and some may even say it can be considered as a concept for the Yokai Watch 4 and their shadow side forms. So the idea is that Nate and Jibanyan, who now look creepy and disturbing, are going around with the Yokai Watch Kuroi, which can actually talk, and they're going around looking for bad people to turn into yokai and to enslave, which is kind of dark, not gonna lie. All the yokai that appear in the Kuroi world have a more creepy design, a lot based off the yokai they're based off of, and the humans look very gross and disturbing, and when they're turned into yokai like Nate, they're turned into bug-like creatures. Nate, for example, gets turned into a caterpillar, and sadly the Kuroi yokai don't really make any major appearances. They did get their own episodes in the anime for a while. They also appeared in Yokai Watch Puni Puni. If you look at early versions of Yokai Watch 4, more specifically this promotional image for Yokai Watch 4, we can see Dark Jibanyan. So it is theorized that Kuroi yokai were originally going to appear in the game and you could befriend them, but they were probably cut early on in development. The only other thing I could say about the Kuroi yokai is that there seems to be some type of Kuroi yokai watch event from like a while back ago, which actually does have some cut Kuroi yokai, so that's neat. Yokai Watch is over 10 years old, and for the 10-year anniversary, what Level 5 and Bandai did, they created a new Yokai Watch. Not a new watch, it's more of a remake of the first ever Yokai Watch, which they already remade it before, but this is a completely new remake, and it's amazing. I'm gonna have an image of it on screen, and the way it works is completely different from the other yokai watches. For starters, functionally, there are no bar rail codes, and how I'm guessing it works is it uses NFC technology similar to the Yokai Watch Elda, and when you put the medals in, that's how it summons the yokai now. And it actually has a screen now, so when you summon the yokai, you can actually see an animation of the yokai spawning in. It actually, it looks like it can be a normal, you can use it as a watch. And there's also a medallion that came with these medals that you can use, and if you use the search mode, over 40 different yokai can appear. The Yoros Mart, or the Yokai Watch store, was a store that you can actually go to and visit. From what I can gather, it was a chain of stores that had Yokai Watch merchandise. I never been to this, sadly, but from the stuff I can gather, there was a real life crank-a-kai that you can use to get yokai medals. There was a bakery which was similar to the actual bakery in Yokai Watch. There was even a terror time, which we'll talk about later, where the employees will dress up as an Oni and someone will dress up as Nate, and Nate will be chased around. And as you can imagine, there was just tons of Yokai Watch merchandise. The store was officially opened March 16, 2016 in Tokyo Station. And for what I'm looking at right now, the first 1,000 people to show up got a limited edition Hinozal Buster's medal. Sadly, around 2017, it was marking the end of the store brand as multiple stores were shutting down, and this is what you could probably consider the beginning of the end of Yokai Watch's popularity. It's a real shame, because imagine just having a store dedicated to a franchise you enjoy and you never got to go. There are a lot of moments where people can see yokai without the Yokai Watch, and there's not really an answer how. A good example being I forgot his name, but he is the guy you go to get your Yokai Watch upgraded. Hi, this is Edit Ninja here. I completely made a mistake when talking about Mr. Goodsight. I completely forgot the fact that he's actually a yokai, and that explains why he can see yokai. So, just know Mr. Goodsight is actually a yokai and not a normal human, which does make sense. Because in Yokai Watch 2, if you go back in time, you can see that Mr. Goodsight is the exact same as he looks in the future, so my bad. And we do know, if at certain points, if you had a Yokai Watch on and you take it off, you can still see the yokai. And another example, in the end of the first Yokai Watch movie, we know Nate's grandma, she has her glasses and she used those to see the yokai. So it's not really the watch that allows the people to see yokai, but there are still many other examples of people seeing yokai without the watch. So what are the rules? In season 1 of Yokai Watch, there is a very infamous scene featuring Robanyan and the yokai B3NK1 or Benkei. I don't know, that's not in the focus. Just know Benkei is a yokai sticking his blade into technology to get a screw, and Nate gets the bright idea to summon a Robanyan, and when Robanyan is summoned, I'll just play the scene. So it's shocking that Disney of all companies let this slide. A show made for kids. I'm not even gonna go deep into Disney and their stupid controversies, but it's just shocking that Disney allowed that scene. What's even more funnier, season 3 of Yokai Watch, Koma-san and Komajiro are now cab drivers that pick up yokai that have a controversial past, and one of the yokai is Robanyan, now in his upgraded Robanyan F form. Robanyan is questioned about his behavior in Yokai Watch 1. It's kind of funny because they're making it seem like he actually did some messed up things with the way they're questioning him, and then they pick up the yokai Benkei, and Benkei's like, hey, you're talking trash about me, I don't like that. And then it ends off with the same scene as the season 1 scene. Each major Yokai Watch game has a what I like to consider a creepy moment. In Yokai Watch 1, it's terror time. When Nate or Katie is out late when they're not supposed to, a Oni will appear, either Gargos or Kanos or Orgolos, and it's kind of like a purgatory or punishment for kids that are out when they're not supposed to. But compared to other creepy moments, it's not that bad. In the second game, not only does Terror Time reappear, but it actually functions different, but we're not going to talk about that. Instead, we're going to talk about the Infinite Tunnel. This is to sum it up, it's completely randomized, where you're going down this tunnel and the point of the challenge is to try to get as far as you can. And the main reason players will even want to come here is because of the optional yokai and the optional boss fights that can only appear in the Infinite Tunnel. SWAT Terrier, I hate you. There's also this weird crying yokai girl who you can't befriend, and it seems like this boss yokai seems to be her dad or guardian of some kind. I'm not going to go too deep into that. And in the third game, there's Zombie Night, which is kind of the American version of Terror Time. Basically, when Nate goes to bed and BBQ, he wakes up at night where zombies are now walking around. And there's also a clown that walks around in certain parts of the game, specifically in BBQ. And if you run into him, you now gotta run away to a safe spot, or you're taking the clown time, where either you gotta fight a zombie or you're taking straight to zombie time or zombie night. And then there's the Hazy Lane, which is the same thing as the Infinite Tunnel, but in my opinion, it's kind of more creepy. For the sole reason you're being chased by this yokai the whole time. And that's just kind of creepy. Like, the whole time you're in this place, you're being chased by this disgusting thing. And in Yokai Watch 4, I wouldn't say the whole game's creepy. It just has this new tone with the franchise. But there is this specific moment in the game where you're in a mansion and you're being chased by this yokai, and it's really like a horror game, to be honest. It's stealth-like. You gotta find clues to figure out what's going on and how to stop the yokai. Yokai Watch was originally gonna be on a PS3 back when it was an early beta, and I'm guessing Level 5 wanted to move it to the 3DS to probably be more accessible to a younger audience. And even during that era, there were still a lot of early designs of yokai. Like Jibanyan, he has some early designs. I'll have them on screen. And Whisper, he has some early designs. And there are early designs for Wild Kappa, Hungram's Dismeralda, which just straight up looks like Muck, Noko, Tattletale, Dilemma, and Eusapion. There are some more early designs, and there's even early designs for Y School heroes in the humans of Yokai Watch. And not only were some of these designs reused and repurposed into other yokai, like Whisper's early design was repurposed into the yokai food too, but in Tattletale's case, her old design was actually kept as artwork for Yokai Watch 1 and Yokai Watch 4 for some reason. Like, they did not have the new artwork of her, or why are they using the old one? In Season 3 of Yokai Watch, when the season got localized over in America, there seemed to be a missing episode containing the yokai Swash. As for why the episode never got localized, well, the reason might be that there was a part where the characters Nate, Eddie, and Bear were, well, how do I put this? Not cloned and had sea craters on their you-know-whats. I'm not showing this on screen. Yokai Watch and Universal Studios actually did some collabs in the past. For starters, there's these two medals with Jibanyan and Komasan at Universal Studios. And there were these, what I think they're called 4D shows, which basically were performances of yokai, but it had like these holographic technology. And for what I can gather, there were 4 different shows, each show containing a new yokai. And there seems to be something called the Yokai Watch the Rally, which seems to be some type of scavenger hunt where guests were tasked of finding hidden yokai. It can be completed by finding the specific yokai in hidden areas around the amusement park and using stickers to uncover the mystery word in order to complete the rally. After finding the location and saying the code word, the participant will have the chance to get a specific yokai medal. It was originally of a random chosen yokai medal in the original incarnation, but an exclusive Jibanyan Universal Studios medal was released, and then the Komasan Universal medals were released. And there was also Yokai Watch themed foods that you can get. There seems to be a whisper omelet, and when I mean whisper omelet, this whisper has a very disturbing face. There is a oba-ga burger with fries and spicy chili blazing on dip, a Komasan hot dog with Komajiro baguette served with fries, Komajiro rice balls served with tempura bread and fries on the side with sauce, and a Jibanyan and Komasan cream cheesecake. In addition, this is also how you can get the Nyaminator or Terminin Nyantor medal, so you can unlock his quest in Yokai Watch 3. But of course, you don't really need his medal. You can just scan the QR code and unlock it. Even though Yokai Watch originates in Japan, there are some yokai that Japan never got. Like, if we take the Yokai Watch Wibble Wobble game, which was similar to Puni Puni but had its own type of things going on. For example, Mimikin and Mimikin A were only exclusive in Wibwob due to Wibwob having a unique app called Wibwob Me, where you can kind of make your own Puni or Wibwob using the camera. And there's also Liberty Nyan S, and Liberty Nyan SS. There are also M versions of yokai which were exclusive to Yokai Watch Wibble Wobble. There 3 of the fruit Nyans got M forms with Orange Nyan, Grape Nyan, and Melon Nyan. And a few of the boss yokai got M forms as well, with Wismellow Man M, Shogun King M, Orkanos M, Hardy Hound M, and Captain Thunder M. Hi ho, how's everyone doing? This is the end of the video, by the way. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like I said at the start of the video, if there's any mistakes, and there's actually a lot of stuff I wanted to cover, but I decided to cut due to time. And I do possibly want to cover in the sequel to this video if it does good enough and it does get requests. And also if there's something in here that doesn't sound right, because it was kind of hard getting information for certain topics like the arcade. It was hard to find a reliable source of just all the arcade machines, because there is more than I thought. Just let me know in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for tuning in and watching. I'm Phantom Ninja. See you guys later. Bye.